Like many rural areas of Scotland, life in Dumfriesshire runs at a generally more civilised, gentler pace than most places. Here, a traffic jam consists of a slow-moving farm tractor or livestock being moved from one field to another. It's little wonder then that many people have swapped their hectic city lifestyles to move to areas like Dumfriesshire. Here, rolling hills meet the coastal plains of the Solway Firth to the south. The county stretches from the border with England at Gretna in the southeast, to Ayrshire to the northwest, and Lanarkshire to the north. Here, a liberal scattering of farms across this beautiful but gentle landscape bears witness to the importance of farming to the local economy. Farming is big business in Dumfriesshire. The county has the biggest dairy herds in all of Scotland, with a high number of beef cattle and sheep farms too. In fact, farming accounts for around 70% of the county's land use, forestry making up most of the rest. And while some of the historic counties which border Dumfriesshire, such as Roxburgh, Selkirk and Kirkcudbright, disappeared with the creation of huge regions in the 1970s, thankfully, some things have not changed very much at all. The sense of community, for example, which remains as strong as ever in these parts, and no more so than in the historic royal borough of Sanquhar. For many driving along the busy A76 road through Sanquhar, this is just another wee place that they pass through on their journey to somewhere else. Most will be unaware that this small, unassuming town of little over 2,000 inhabitants has something of a first-class history all of its own. For Sanquhar is home to the world's oldest post office, beating two world capital cities to the title. Officially recognised as the world's oldest post office by the Guinness Book of Records in 2009, Sanquhar Post Office has been continuously trading since 1712, making it older than the United States. Who knows, maybe Scotland's world-famous poet Rabbie Burns, who lived at Ellisland Farm near Dumfries, may have passed this very post office on his way to and from his native Ayrshire. Perhaps he even posted a letter here. There had been some concern that Sanquhar Post Office might close after the previous owner decided to sell up. But local residents need not have worried. The current owners, Barry and Mary Ford, who had discovered it was up for sale, put in a bid to buy it but were initially outbid by someone else. However, the original winning bid fell through and the couple who had spent the previous 20 years living and working in Florida were successful and took over the business in September 2023.
Well, I was in Florida for 20 years. We set up our own company called Wing Waxers, which was primarily aircraft detailing, which is, I think they call it balloting over here. We looked after general aviation aeroplanes for folks, private owners, all the way up to corporations.
And I'll get the prices for the cards.
But Barry, originally from England, and wife Mary, a Scot from Lanarkshire, had moved back from the States for family reasons. It is then they discovered the world's oldest post office was up for sale and they decided to take on this little piece of history. It was certainly a big learning curve, but the couple have quickly settled into their new role.
When we looked into buying the post office, there were several things that we had to do. We had to be vetted by the post office before they would allow us to take over, so that took quite a bit of time. And then they do a programme of training, so we had e-learning, we had classroom training, and then the day we got the keys, that was us live with a trainer for a week and the rest of the village in the post office. And it was a very steep learning curve. We've never run the post office before, we've never done this kind of retail work, so we really did have a lot to learn, and we're still learning, but we've got quite good support from our trainers, and we also have helplines.
The couple were warmly welcomed by the local community, who were delighted that the post office was remaining open, providing a vital lifeline for many. And any concerns they may have had about settling in were quickly dispelled even before they took over.
We came down to have a look at the village before we made a decision, and just in the short time we were here we met some really lovely people. Everybody spoke to us. There seemed to be numerous things going on in the community, arts and crafts, stuff for the kids, and we've been really welcomed by everybody that we've met, and we felt we've been here for years really.
I think we enjoy the actual postmaster position is the fact that with the community being as small as it is at the moment, it's never been a large town, but the community spirit is very, very strong, and being able to be part of the community and being invited into the community is very, very important. And I think people in today's day and age were losing the personal touch when someone comes in with a problem or an issue. They can't do it online, they can't do it by phone, they want to speak to somebody, and we're able to offer that advice when we can. See you in a wee bit. Back shadow, try it Bonnie.
I think the post office is very important to the community. It's a small rural area. There's not a lot of other post offices in Dumfries. They've closed down, Newcombe that have closed down, and they can do their banking here, they can do their parcels here, they can get forms for different things, they can have a chat, catch up and gossip. I think it's central to the local community, and they're very pleased that we took it over. I think everybody visited in the first week just to make sure that it was actually happening. There was a chance that it would have closed, and they were not very happy about that, because a lot of people still don't have internet, or they don't want to use computers, or they don't have the knowledge. So this is an alternative for them to be able to still do the things that they need to get done.
Much of the business today is people returning unwanted or faulty items bought online and banking services, with many banks having shut down altogether in order to move their entire business online instead. The post office also offers a banking lifeline for many of the area's small businesses like tea rooms, hotels and small independent shops. It's a far cry from those early years when Sanquhar Post Office first opened its doors. Letters were sent free of charge. It was the person receiving the letter or package who had to pay for receiving it, not the sender who posted it. In addition to local people from in and around the town, Sanquhar Post Office gets a steady stream of international visitors who come to see the world's oldest post office for themselves. Letters sent from here also get a unique stamp stating that their letter or package was sent from the world's oldest post office.
We get people from Japan, Chinese visitors, German, European visitors. They want to come in, buy a postcard, get it stamped, send it from the oldest post office in the world, working post office in the world. So yes, I think we'll be busy in the summer.
Mary admits that visitors are often surprised to see a modern-looking post office rather than the original one from 1712. But the business has undergone a number of upgrades through the years, including a refit in the early 2000s. But the couple have big plans for Sanquhar Post Office, including a small museum at the front of the original building, which has a unique window dating from the 1800s. Barry has already started to collect items of interest, including a two-stroke motorbike. It was used for delivering telegrams back in the day. It now has pride of place in the beginnings of his museum. GPO stood for General Post Office, which became just the Post Office in 1969. The telegrams service itself finally came to an end in 1982. In addition to the bike, there is an old replica of a Scottish Victorian post box which features the Scottish crown, which is distinctly different to the English crown, reflecting the many differences between England and Scotland. It's a reminder that Scotland, one of the world's oldest countries, was independent from around the 9th century until the signing of the Treaty of Union in 1707. For what is, in effect, little more than a village, Sanquhar's status as home to the world's oldest post office beats the world's second oldest post office in the Swedish capital of Stockholm. It dates from 1720. The other one is in Chile's capital, Santiago, which opened in 1772. The post office and Royal Mail were officially separated into two distinct businesses in 2012 to allow the UK government to turn the Royal Mail into a privatised business rather than a publicly owned service. It was a move which was not universally popular, especially in Scotland. At a time when so many services are being closed down, especially in smaller rural communities like Sanquhar, local residents breathed a huge sigh of relief when Barry and Mary Ford took over. By also offering banking services, Sanquhar Post Office has provided a lifeline for many local businesses as well as residents.
What we primarily deal with here at the moment, surprisingly enough, besides stamps and postage and parcels, we're getting a lot of people buying online products, either through Amazon or Vinted, and then we end up doing the returns for those, which gets processed through the system. But also we're doing banking, personal banking and business banking. Again, the way state of affairs is currently at the moment, which is a shame, banks are closing down and people are having to travel a lot further to do their personal business banking, whereas we can do it all in one here.
The local post office is very important to us because we use it for work. I work in a solicitor's next door, so we use it every day. Every day we're in posting and mail.
How important is a local post office? It's very important to businesses because our nearest bank is down in Dumfries. So we use the post office to bank business. And everybody uses the post office. If they can't get into building societies or anything, they can use the post office.
It's a view also shared by local butcher Willie Forsyth.
Right. Sanquhar Post Office. Well, I've stood here 50 odd years in my own right, looking directly across the road at the world's oldest post office, 1712. And I'm pleased to say that as of last year, Mr. and Mrs. Ford have taken it over and hoping to continue to keep it running in our little village, our royal borough, I should say, our royal borough of Sanquhar, which is a very famous little town in southern Scotland. But it is a very important part of our town, and I really hope, and I'm sure they will, make a great success of running it. I mean, the very fact that we still have a post office, it's pretty good going, because I've said before, larger towns than us don't have such a facility. And over the years it's been lost, but we have a post office, we have the oldest one, and I really do hope and I pray that it will keep going from strength to strength.
Barry and Mary Ford are now very much a part of this community. They intend to play their part in keeping the world's oldest post office trading for many years to come.